Hey everyone, today we're breaking down the pros and cons of renting versus buying a home. I am not always giving everyone advice to buy a home because sometimes it's not the right advice for that consumer. So I can think of quite a few pros of renting a home, especially for a certain type of consumer. So the first type of consumer I would say renting would be the best option for them is if they have never been to the area before and they don't know the neighborhoods and they're moving here from another state. I would definitely consider renting for 6 to 12 months before I bought, just to get an idea of what area they like best. The second really pro that I think for renting is flexibility. When you buy a property, you really need to hold on to it for at least 3 to 6 years, depending on the appreciation in that area, to even get your upfront costs back, because upfront costs can be pretty expensive when you're purchasing a home. Now, speaking of upfront costs, that's also another one of the pros to renting, that there are fewer upfront costs because there's not that big down payment in some cases. The third pro that I can see for renting is really the maintenance. There's quite a lot of maintenance that can happen on a home when you own it. And so if you just don't want to deal with maintenance issues as they come up, renting would be a good solution, because then you can just ask your landlord to fix those items. Now, there are some definite cons of renting, and one is that your rent can go up every year. So Texas isn't one of those states that has a rent control. So if you're renting, your rent really can go up every year. The second con that I really see in renting is that you're really not building any wealth. You're really just building your landlord's wealth, and unless you have investments other places, it's just one more place to invest in yourself that you're really not investing in yourself. The third con that I can see is that you have a lot less control. So there's more restrictions on you, there's more rules, you can't do renovations, you can't really decorate your house the way you would want to decorate your own private space. And then the last con that I think is a really big one is that your landlord can decide to sell or not renew their lease at any time. So if you had a 12-month lease and you have to spend money with moving costs, it's kind of a hassle to move in there, your landlord is under no obligation to continue that lease. So you could have to find another place to live even just as soon as living there for 12 months. So I think if you really want some more permanency in your life in terms of living in a single family home, I think buying is definitely the way to go there. So let's talk about the pros of buying a home. Well, the biggest pro is that you're building equity over time. It's an investment for you and in you. And when you look at most Americans' nest eggs when they get to be in their 80s, it is in the property that they own. It's in that home that they own. That's where most of their money is. So if you rent continuously, you're losing out on really building that nest egg for yourself. The second pro that I can see is that you have fixed monthly payments if you have a mortgage. So in Texas here, we have variable taxes. So your taxes do go up a little bit, but for the most part, if you want your payment to stay at what it was in, the year 2005, like when we bought our house, our payment is really not much different from 2005 when we bought our house, rather than, having payments when you're renting. Your landlord is going to take the taxes and whatever the rental rates are of the area, and they're going to apply that to you. So that's not really a fixed payment. Whereas if you had a mortgage, your payment would be consistent, or as consistent as it can be if you're in a state that has variation in taxes every year. So another pro that I see to owning a home is you get the freedom to make your home exactly how you want it, and your guests can stay as long as you want. So there's just a lot more freedom when you own your own home. But now let's talk about the cons of buying. Well, there's definitely higher upfront costs. So in most cases, you will have to make a down payment. Now, we do have down payment programs here in Texas that you may qualify. And if you do an FHA loan, the down payment there is only 3.5% of the sales price of the home. So it can be, on a $300,000 house, it can be, a couple $1,000s for sure. So that is one of the cons of buying a home. So the second con is the reverse of the rental con. You're responsible for the repairs, the maintenance, and all that fun stuff like water heaters, roofs, that kind of thing. If you do decide to buy a home, I definitely put at least $3,000 to $6,000 aside in savings to help you pay for those maintenance issues that are definitely going to come up. And the third con is there's less flexibility. So it's pretty much mirrors, right, the pros of selling. So there's less flexibility, meaning that you really do have to own that home for at least 3 to 5 years to see your money come back to you. So the bottom line is that renting gives you flexibility, but no long-term wealth, and buying gives you stability and the potential for financial growth, but it comes with some bigger responsibilities. So think about you, your goals, your budget, your timeline, and make the move that's right for you. Well, if you have any comments about renting versus buying, I'd love for you to leave those here for us to read. And if you need help, we're always happy to be a resource for you. Take care. See you next time.